The Far Cry series has been to some exotic locations, from mysterious tropical islands to Central Africa, so with Far Cry 5 you might not be expecting Hope County, Montana. That's right, Far Cry 5 is set in the United States, and while it may not sound that exotic compared to what has come before, the scenery sure is beautiful. Today Ubisoft dropped a ton of content and trailers showing off the new game, 5 videos in total. A main trailer, a developer interview and 3 character trailers. It's a great indication of the direction that the new game is going in. We also have a release date and it's quite far away actually, February 27th, 2018. I think a lot of people were expecting the game to come out this year. The game pits you up against Joseph the Father Seed, leader of Eden's Gate, and that's a religious doomsday cult that's infiltrated the area, and they've seen it fit to lock down Hope County, trapping all of its residents. Don't be expecting any phone signal because you won't get any. Judging by the trailer, the area didn't exactly seem like a 4G hotspot to begin with. Joseph believes that society will soon collapse and the end of days is near. The little voice inside his head has commanded him to save as many people as possible, even against their own will if required. As you can imagine, that doesn't go down very well, especially considering that this is big country and lots of residents have big guns, which is handy because the cult believes in freedom, faith and firearms. It's not just Joseph though that he's got helping him, it's a family business, and Ubisoft have created a cast of characters here. Helping him is Jacob and John, as well as their half-sister Faith. Together they form the Heralds, and they are all villains in the family. They've got their own roles though. Joseph is the face of the cult, but John is the lawyer in charge of the public face of the cult. Faith's job is to keep the cult members pacified once they're in the fold, and Jacob, having spent 20 years in the army, has a very unique set of skills. I think they're going to go all Liam Neeson on us there. As you can imagine, some people have joined with Eden's Gate and some people have been forced to, but not all are willing to go quietly. A resistance to the cult has formed and 3 of its members have their own trailers. Pastor Jerome is a preacher who's had his congregation stolen from him by Eden's Gate. He now feels that violence is the only way and seeking peace via God is no longer an option. In his trailer he says, "If I'm not the shepherd, I must be the wolf." Scary stuff. And then we've got Mary, the owner of a particularly interesting saloon called the Whistling Beaver. The cult has taken her mother and brother, leaving just her and her father, who aren't taking it very well, as you can imagine. Saying that she holds a grudge against them would be an understatement. And the last character trailer introduces us to Nick Rye. He's a pilot who has a family history of flying planes. And in the trailer we actually see him load a minigun onto his plane. I don't know if that would work in reality because of the recoil, but it's very cool in a video game. But what about you? Who will you play as and who is the main protagonist? Well, in Far Cry 5 you're going to play as a sheriff who found themselves wound up in Hope County. I wonder why though. Getting out isn't going to be easy though. The cult now has control of the town and there's no way out. Interestingly, this time around you don't get a predefined character and you will instead get a character creator to choose exactly how you want to look. Do you want to be a man or a woman? I'm assuming there's going to be more cosmetic choices there like hair and appearance. Well, that choice is going to be yours. And I wonder if this choice means that your character is going to appear more frequently in the cutscenes this time around. In terms of mechanics, it's a bit early to know exactly how the game will shape up compared to the previous games. Will towers or hunting return? Well, both are unconfirmed right now, but I imagine that hunting will almost definitely be in the game considering its location and some snippets of the trailer. As for towers, well, I'm not sure that people really want that sort of mechanic anymore. It seems like every Ubisoft game seems to do it. And as for visuals, well, the game does look fantastic. The big country really looks beautiful, lush wildlife and amazing scenery, something that Far Cry games have always done well with. We do know, however, of a few game mechanics that will be returning. Far Cry 4's Guns for Hire will be in the new game as well, and this means you'll be able to recruit NPCs to fight alongside you in missions. And then there's also the Fangs for Hire system, which utilises the animal taming system from Far Cry Primal and allows you to send off animals such as dogs, bears and cougars to do your bidding. In one of the screenshots you actually see a dog in the pickup truck trailer, so I'm wondering if you can have pets in the game. And then there's something brand new called Friends for Hire. Not content with just calling it co-op, the entire single player campaign can be played with a friend this time around. and that's certainly going to make the campaign a lot more interesting. Co-op games always tend to be more fun, being able to coordinate and attack with a friend, and funny moments, communication can really change the way that you approach missions. From the trailers and videos that we saw today, we know that there are American muscle cars that you can drive, and it's also confirmed that you can fly planes, probably thanks to your Resistance friend Nick. That alone suggests that the size of the world must be pretty large. There are even ATVs and big rigs, or trucks if you're not familiar with the American terms. Either way, there's a large selection of vehicles here, and this can make missions a bit more exciting, especially with planes, meaning that there could be a lot more variety in what the game has to offer this time around. For me, I'm looking for a bit more innovation in the Far Cry series, and fingers crossed there's going to be a lot more of that this time around. Let me know your thoughts on the reveal down below in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, a thumbs down. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.
We kept this kind of longing to go to the States and bring Far Cry to the States, but it's not easy to do. The idea of going to a frontier in the States and bringing you to a place that you kind of know already. And just the concept that the thing that's in your backyard could be even more exotic than going 1,000 miles away. And that's why we brought it to the States.
I am your father, and you are my children.
We have to compete with ourselves. We built Voss, we built Pagan Min, we wanted the father to be amazing. A cult leader who absolutely unequivocally believes that the end of times is coming, and that he needs to save as many people as he can, whether they want to be saved or not, was, I think, the genesis for what we built. I think what was interesting about Montana when we went there is we met a lot of people that didn't want to be messed with. They wanted to be left alone. And it created this sense of a frontier and a remoteness that really resonated with us. And what was cool about the language of some of the things we're hearing was, you know, sort of, maybe don't trust the government and we can do it ourselves. What happens when somebody else shows up and says, yeah, I agree with you, don't trust the government and we can do it ourselves and I will provide. All of a sudden you create this petri dish, this sort of magnet for crazy, which is where Eden's Gate goes. And this time we thought it would be really interesting if we basically create a cast of characters. And you've got, you know, the family, you've got the entire group at Eden's Gate, you've got Joseph and Jacob, John and Faith, and they each have their own personalities, and they each even have their own agenda. But then at the same time, you have all the characters that you have out in the open world. So you've got Mary May and Nick, and you've got Pastor Jerome, and a host of other characters that you can meet and interact with. And when we see those characters come to life, and we see that they're not just AI waiting around to give you a mission, they have real personalities, they have opinions about stuff. The world feels real. You're gonna need to get help. And when we were in Montana, we met really interesting people that we imagined could really take care of themselves. I think that what's cool about that is that you go out into the world and you meet people for the first time. You don't know them. Maybe they don't trust you. But if you can strike up a deal with them, if you can have a conversation with them and make them part of what it is that you're building, they can join your resistance, and now you have a guns for hire that comes with you. And when I think of Far Cry, I think about the idea of kind of sitting at a bar, having a scotch, and somebody comes up behind me and starts to talk about an urban legend that happened kind of to them, and they're telling the story of survival in a frontier, and it's twisted, it's unique. That's what makes a Far Cry story. And if I can imagine myself at that bar, and I can hear that story and go, okay, we could build that, we can make that, that's a Far Cry. And I do that for all the projects that we work on. It's like, could that be real? And in this case, I think that bar is actually in Montana.
I grew up here, you know. Had my first kiss out back with some dumb cowboy. Almost got caught by my dad. He loved this place. It wasn't all easy. But he always made sure that here, you could speak your mind. And then they showed up. We're here to help, they said. He believed them. And then they took my mom, my brother. And Dad was never the same. Now what? You wanna take this place too? No. This place is ours.
Woe to the man who leads my flock astray, says the Lord. We were given so much. This land, this life, our freedom. What's left of it now? Our people felt abandoned, grew weary. They needed our help. And we didn't listen. But he did. Told them exactly what they wanted to hear. But those falsehoods, lies, his poison, it's driven them from pasture, from the righteous path. Woe to the man who leads my flock astray. For if I am not their shepherd, then I must be the wolf.
She's a beaut, ain't she? All this time. She ain't never let me down. I just hope she's around when he's old enough to fly. Ooh, my boy. I mean, I hope it's a boy. I just want him to fly her like I do. Not like my dad or my grandpa. They flew in the war, so I didn't have to. But now, I don't know if he'll ever have the chance. Not with these around here. People are scared, man. I may never have gone to war. If them Peggies come after my family, sure as hell we'll give them one.
We must atone!
Something is coming. You can feel it, can't you? You can feel that we are creeping towards the edge. I know that you are out there. And I know that you are in pain. But my children, I'm here to tell you that suffering is a choice. And you can choose a better path. We want you. We accept you. And we will take you, willingly or not. And some of you may fight, but in the end, you will thank us. I am your father, and you are my children.
Upon us! I shall lead you to the gate! For you are my children, and I am your father!